On my way to pick up the automatic pool cleaner so we can tear it apart, figure out how it works, and reverse engineer on CAD. So here we're at the pool store. We got the pool cleaner, and it's a used one, refurbished one for about 50 bucks. We have a Hayward cleaner. This is one of the best brands out there. The way that I understand this works is the vacuum would suck the water through the bottom of the pool cleaner, and the suction of the water will cause an impeller, not a propeller, but an impeller to spin, and this spinning motion will cause different gears and things to move inside the pool cleaner. There should be some interface here. Okay, there we go. It's coming in contact with these wheels. These wheels cause the legs, if you will, to move. Alright, so we're going to dive in, no pun intended, and take a look at our CAD model. So what's happening here is that we have this suction that that travels upwards. The water enters through the bottom of the pool cleaner and it travels vertically upwards in the y direction. So imagine a particle of water traveling up, as my mouse is. When it's traveling up, this is the main mechanism. I'm just gonna go over an overview of how the mechanism works, and then I'll dive into the details because I know your time is very precious. So this is essentially the answer. The particles of water are going to hit this roof of the impeller. It's not a propeller, it's an impeller. And the impeller, is going to rotate like this. Alright? So when it rotates, as you can see the moving pieces, I'm going to hide the top housing. As it rotates, these offset faces from the impeller, which I'm going to dive in a second, are going to come in contact with these wheels that are attached to what I call the A-frame, because it looks like an upside down A, and it's going to convert rotational motion to translational motion. See, it's rotating and then it turns into translating left and right. Now the A-frame is connected all the way to what we call the leg. Alright, so the leg is locked in to the A-frame, and when the A-frame moves, the leg moves. And inside the leg, let's take a closer look there, and I call these the little feet that we have here. One foot, second foot. And the feet have springs in them, and the springs, as well, you can't see it on the CAD, but this face of the spring will be on this face. Alright, so when we move the leg as it rotates about this axis, one foot is going to move forward and bounce back while the other foot is tucked in, and that's how it's going to walk. It's very difficult to show this in CAD. We have to do multiple configurations, etc. But this really is the essence of the mechanism. And if you wanted to see their feet, how they walk, in the previous in the video that, as you saw below before in my teardown, you saw how the feet were moving. But yes, this is the mechanism. Now let's dive into some details. One thing that I want to show you about how I model things is we use master modeling. And master modeling, it's a part file that contains all the dimensions and all the parts, and then we do save bodies at the end, and we save that part file up here, which is suppressed. So this is what happens if you want to, let's say, edit the impeller. You think that you will go here and then open the part, but if you do so, you get the quote-unquote dump file, which the feature tree has no features. So how do you get to the actual part that has the features, the dimensions, the bodies, etc.? How you do so is by importing the master model to the top of the feature tree whenever you're doing an assembly, but then you suppress it. So let's say that I want to edit the impeller. What I would do is I will make the master model visible, and in actuality I turn it purple so it stands out from the rest. But if I hide all the other bodies, you see that the purple master model is beneath all this. It's here. So what I want to do is I want to open the master model, and now it's going to take me to that part file, which I call master model. And this, let me expand the feature tree, it's going to have all the features as to how to create the impeller and all the other parts. So I'll just click on the impeller, and it'll take me where the impeller feature starts. Or let me see, let's say bodies, Control T, and impeller. There it is. So all the features in this folder will be, yeah, the impeller. There it is. Okay, so that's one key thing to understand as everyone downloads these files, which are going to be in the description of the video, how to play around with them. All right. Now let's suppress rather our master model. And as you can see, this is a little bit of a cartoon CAD. Not everything was reversed engineer with calipers, because the essence of the video is simply to show you how the mechanism works. Okay, another very important thing to understand about this mechanism is how the impeller is designed. So let me isolate the impeller. Okay, don't be deceived. This has a central axis, which is this right here. It runs all across here. So let me point out, these are all concentric. Okay, don't let this face and this face, this one and that one, deceive you. All these are all concentric, and that is the central axis at which the impeller is spinning. Okay, that way it doesn't wobble. Now it is offset. This face and this face and this face is offset from each other, and by being offset, that's what's going to create the motion. When it the rotational motion, that's going to rub against the other wheels that are next to it. They're going to come in contact, and I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't seen a mechanism like that from the ones that I teared apart. And another thing that's important to understand is that these A-frames, let me hide this body, the A-frames are not connected. So if you peel the layers back, that is what's happening in there. They're separated, and that's why the legs move independent from each other. A cool thing that I saw here is that key bearing. So the yellow is a custom bearing that I made. I didn't download from McMaster or anything. I just made it from scratch. And that key allows the impeller to rotate, and it allows the bearing to stay connected to the impeller and rotate simultaneously. So essentially, that is the teardown of the walking feet version of the pool cleaner. We're going to have more mechanisms as to how the pool cleaner works. We would really appreciate your support. If you could give it a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. We want to get as much support as you can. The more support we have, the more videos we can launch. And leave in the comments below, what other consumer product would you like for us to tear apart and show you the mechanisms of? Until next time.
Supporting medical device engineering teams who have either insufficient bandwidth or expertise internally, Pipeline develops custom turnkey fixtures and automated equipment to test, inspect, characterize, qualify, and assemble your devices.